Everest Base Camp, Kilimanjaro, Mt Elbrus. Some of the world's most iconic treks are at altitude. But if your country isn't blessed with high mountains, or you're a first-time trekker, chances are you haven't been to high altitude before. And if this is you, make sure you're not making these rookie mistakes. Mistake number 1, only drink while you're thirsty. Now, dehydration is a really common issue while you're at altitude. And this happens for a number of reasons. To start with is your breathing rate is increased when you're at altitude, so you lose a lot more water through your breath. Number 2 is the air is quite dry, so your body has to use quite a bit of water to humidify it as it comes into your body. Number 3 is all the exertion causes you to sweat quite a bit, as well as the winter weather clothing you're most likely wearing, and this can really cause you to lose quite a bit of water. And then number 4, as part of the acclimatization process, your antidiuretic hormone is suppressed, which basically means you go to the bathroom a lot more. Now, the issue here is that dehydration can have some pretty serious consequences when it comes to your physical performance, and it's also thought to be a component into reducing your rates of acclimatization. So you definitely want to be avoiding this. Now, something that many people do is they'll trek all day, and then when they get thirsty, they'll drink. But the issue here is that there's a delayed response between your thirst reflex and actually your levels of hydration. So by the time you're actually getting thirsty, you're most likely already dehydrated. So this isn't really a great judge for when you should be drinking water. Instead, using urine color is probably a better bet. So trying to keep your urine clear or pale yellow color and not letting it get the dark yellow that shows that you're dehydrated. Mistake number 2 is using sleeping pills or alcohol at night. Now, after a long day's trekking, sometimes there's nothing more you want to do than curl up in a bed and get a good night's sleep. But even though you might be physically tired, sometimes you go to bed and your mind is just wired, and it takes a really long time to get to sleep. On top of this, altitude really affects your sleep, and more often than not, you're going to be waking up during the night, really struggling to sleep. Some people even report waking up gasping for air, so your sleep is really disturbed. Now, a common thing people will do at sea level for this is to use sleeping pills or alcohol to help you relax, but this is a really big issue at altitude. This is because these things are what's known as a respiratory depressant, meaning they slow your breathing down. And when your body's already struggling to get enough oxygen into its system and it's already doing some different things with its breathing, you really don't want to be messing around with this. So if you are trying to get to sleep at altitude, stay away from the sleeping pills and the alcohol and stick to a safer alternative, something like magnesium or melatonin, which don't affect your breathing. Now, mistake number 3 is getting physically exhausted. Now, exhaustion is a big risk factor when it comes to altitude sickness, and you really never want to be reaching this state. Now, this is the reason why aerobic fitness is so essential if you are going on to an altitude trek, because the fitter you are, as much as it won't directly affect your rates of altitude sickness, it'll give you a bit of buffer zone before you actually reach these states of exhaustion, and it'll help you feel a lot more comfortable and a lot more confident as you go on the trek. So if you are getting tired when you're hiking, please have a rest, recover, and never let yourself reach that state of exhaustion. Now, mistake number 4 is undereating. Now, when you're up at altitude, your appetite gets suppressed, meaning you don't want to eat that much. And this is a real issue because when you're trekking, you're using a lot of energy, and the demands of altitude also use a lot of energy. So if you're not eating enough food, you're going to be underfueling and putting yourself at a risk of that early exhaustion we just talked about. So you need to be ensuring every single meal that you're physically forcing yourself to eat. On top of that, you should be bringing a range of highly palatable and energy-dense snacks to eat, because if you are eating minimal amounts during these meal times, at least the snacks can help get that energy in. So you want to be thinking about things like chocolate bars, energy bars, sports drinks, dried fruit, nut mixes, stuff that you can really know you're going to enjoy and you're going to be able to eat even if you don't have an appetite. Now, mistake number 5, but the single most important one to be aware of, is ascending too quickly. Now, rate of ascent is the number 1 risk factor when it comes to altitude sickness, but many people tend to climb way too quick when it comes to altitude, whether they're just in a rush, whether they're feeling good from their fitness, or whether they're just simply on a budget restriction and they need to choose a shorter trek. But please, don't be sucked into thinking you can do a trek in the shortest time frame possible. It's really incredibly dangerous and you don't want to be taking the risk of getting altitude when you're on the mountain. If you are planning a trek, give yourself plenty of time for acclimatization, and if you're going with a tour, never pick the shortest tour route. And while a lot more goes into staying safe while you're on the mountain, if you avoid these 5 mistakes, you'll have a really good foundation to having a safe, enjoyable, and successful altitude adventure. And please, if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel, where I'll be releasing videos every single week on all things altitude and training for trekking.